Welcome back to our channel, Valuable Coins Hub. These rare Lincoln penny coins make people rich. Let's find out why. Don't miss out one of these who know a single coin make you rich. Number 1. Today we're diving into one of the most fascinating coins in modern U.S. history, the 2009 Lincoln penny, specifically the formative years design, the one that shows a young Abraham Lincoln sitting on a log in Indiana with a book in his hand. This little coin might seem ordinary at first glance, but trust me, it carries a story, a legacy, and in some cases, even a shocking price tag that will leave you amazed. Back in 2009, the United States Mint decided to honor Abraham Lincoln's 200th birthday and the 100th anniversary of the Lincoln cent with a special series of 4 different designs. Each coin told a different chapter of Lincoln's life. The formative years penny represented his youth in Indiana, a time when Lincoln was building his character, working hard, studying by firelight, and shaping himself into the man who would one day become one of America's greatest presidents. The image of Lincoln sitting on a log with a book in his hand isn't just a nice design. It's a reminder of his dedication to learning, his strength of spirit, and the values that would guide him through the most difficult period of American history. Now let's talk about why collectors love this coin so much. Millions of these pennies were minted in 2009, but the catch is not all of them are equal. Most went into circulation and got scratched, dented, or worn down from everyday use. But some, especially those preserved in uncirculated condition, have become real treasures. When a coin stays in pristine shape with sharp details, no wear, and beautiful shine, collectors get excited because it means that piece of history has survived untouched. And here's where it gets even more thrilling: errors. The 2009 formative years penny is well known in the collector's world for having multiple varieties of doubled dies. If you take a close look at Lincoln's hands, the book he's holding, or even the log, you might see doubled lines that show the die struck the coin slightly off. Some coins show extra fingers, some have a doubled thumb, and these variations are what make certain coins far more valuable than the standard penny. Collectors go crazy for these error coins because each one is unique, and because they are far harder to find than regular issues. Imagine holding a penny with what looks like Lincoln having 6 fingers. That's not just unusual, it's highly collectible. Another reason this coin is so appealing is that it marks an important moment in U.S. coin history. It was the last year that the Lincoln cent featured multiple reverse designs before the shield design was introduced in 2010. That alone makes the 2009 series stand out, but the formative years penny has always been one of the most memorable because of its detailed storytelling through art. The design pulls people in, and when combined with the fact that error versions exist, it makes the chase for one all the more exciting. Now, let's say you find one of these coins and it looks perfect, no scratches, no wear, just crisp detail. If you discover that it also has one of those rare double die errors, you might be holding on to something very special. The value skyrockets when condition and rarity come together. These aren't just pennies anymore. They're prized collectibles that people are willing to pay huge sums of money for. And here comes the part you've been waiting for, the number that makes your jaw drop. Some rare examples of the 2009 Lincoln formative years penny with those highly sought-after errors, especially in uncirculated condition, have sold for as much as $40,000. Yes, a single penny from 2009, worth that much in today's collector market. That's the beauty of coin collecting, my friends. Something you might pass over without a second thought could actually be worth a fortune. Every coin has a story, every design has meaning, and sometimes a small mistake at the mint can turn ordinary change into life-changing treasure. So next time you get pennies in your change, slow down, take a look, and don't be afraid to check closely under good light or even with a magnifying glass. You might just discover that you're holding history in your hand, and maybe even a small fortune. Thank you for watching and joining me on this exciting journey through the story of the 2009 formative years penny. If you enjoyed learning about this remarkable coin, be sure to hit the like button, subscribe for more coin stories, and ring that notification bell so you never miss an update. Number 2, we're turning the spotlight on a coin that might already be sitting in your collection or even in your pocket, the 1979 Lincoln 1-cent penny. At first glance, it may look like just another old penny, something ordinary, something you'd pass along without thinking. But the truth is, this little coin has secrets, and for the lucky ones who find the rare varieties or error examples, it can be worth far more than just 1 cent. The 1979 penny carries with it a piece of American history. Minted during a time of economic challenges, rising inflation, and big changes in the country, this coin reflects a moment when every cent truly mattered. Abraham Lincoln, as always, graces the obverse, that familiar face we've all seen since childhood, a symbol of honesty, strength, and leadership. On the reverse side, you'll find the Lincoln Memorial, standing tall and proud, reminding us of Lincoln's legacy. This design had been in use since 1959, but by 1979, subtle minting details and errors made certain examples of these coins stand out from the rest. Now, let's talk about what makes the 1979 penny so attractive to collectors. First of all, millions were struck at the Philadelphia, Denver, and San Francisco mints, but like with any coin, condition is everything. Most pennies from this year are worn down, scratched, or discolored from years of circulation. But if you find one in pristine, uncirculated condition with sharp details and original luster, you already have something worth holding on to. Collectors always chase after those high-grade examples because they are so hard to come by today. But what really makes this coin exciting is the variety of errors and rare features that slipped through the mint. One of the most famous types of collectible errors is the double die. Imagine looking at Lincoln's date or the letters in God We Trust, and seeing them appear doubled, almost like a shadow. These double die pennies from 1979 are rare, and when discovered in excellent condition, they can be worth a surprising amount of money. There are also off-center strikes, where the design doesn't line up correctly on the coin. Some are just slightly off, while others are dramatically misaligned, leaving a blank crescent of metal on one side of the penny. These off-center coins are fascinating because no two are exactly alike. Another type of error is the clipped planchet, where a portion of the coin's edge is missing due to a mistake when the blank coin was cut. These odd-shaped pennies immediately catch a collector's eye. And let's not forget the repunched mint marks. Back in 1979, mint marks were still punched into dies by hand. That means on some coins you can see a faint outline of a mint mark that was struck more than once. A repunched D for Denver or an S for San Francisco adds rarity and character to the penny, and collectors are always excited to track them down. What makes the 1979 penny so special isn't just its age or design, but the thrill of the hunt. Every time a collector looks closely at one, there's a chance of finding something extraordinary. Maybe it's a double die that no one noticed before. Maybe it's a dramatic off-center strike. Maybe it's a proof coin from San Francisco that has remained untouched for decades. That's the magic of coin collecting. You never know when you'll uncover something that transforms an ordinary penny into a rare treasure, so how much can these rare examples really be worth? Well, this is the part that makes everyone sit up and pay attention. While most 1979 pennies will only ever be worth a cent, those rare error coins, especially in the highest condition, have shocked collectors at auctions. Some of the most desirable examples of the 1979 Lincoln penny have sold for as much as $40,000. That's right, a single penny from 1979, worth that incredible amount in today's market. And that, my friends, is why collectors love this hobby so much. It's not just about the money, it's about the history, the details, the stories, and the thrill of discovery. Every coin has a past, every scratch tells a tale, and every minting error turns something common into something extraordinary. So next time you come across a 1979 Lincoln penny, don't dismiss it too quickly. Take a closer look, hold it under the light, maybe even use a magnifying glass. Who knows, you might just be holding a small fortune without even realizing it. Number 3, we're going to talk about the 1990 Lincoln 1-cent coin, a penny that millions of people saw, spent, and saved without ever thinking twice. But if you know what to look for, this coin hides some very rare and valuable secrets that collectors love. And in certain cases, it has shocked everyone with how much it sold for. So grab your magnifying glass, listen carefully, and let's uncover the hidden details of the 1990 penny. The 1990 penny was struck during a time when the Lincoln cent had already become an American classic. Since 1909, Lincoln's portrait has been on the obverse of the coin, making it one of the longest-running coin designs in U.S. history. By 1990, the coin had gone through important changes in its metal composition. Back in 1982, the mint switched from the heavier bronze alloy to the copper-plated zinc composition. That means the 1990 penny you hold in your hand is mostly zinc with a thin outer layer of copper. It may not sound exciting, but this shift created plenty of opportunities for minting errors and oddities, which collectors hunt for to this day. On the obverse of the coin, you have Abraham Lincoln's iconic profile facing right, with the words "In God We Trust" across the top, Liberty on the left, and the date 1990 on the right. Depending on the mint, you'll also see a small letter D for Denver, no mint mark for Philadelphia, and in some cases, S for San Francisco on proof coins. The reverse still shows the Lincoln Memorial, a design that ran from 1959 until 2008. While millions of these coins were minted, not all 1990 pennies are created equal. Some of them, because of errors or unique details, are worth far more than face value. Now let's talk about the rarity and errors that make this coin stand out. One of the most famous and desirable errors from 1990 is the no S proof penny. Normally, proof coins struck at the San Francisco Mint bear the S mint mark, but due to a die error, a small number of 1990 proof cents were struck without the mint mark. These coins look just like Philadelphia issues, but the difference is they are proof quality with sharp mirrored surfaces. This is one of the holy grails of modern pennies, because collectors instantly recognize it as a mint mistake that slipped past quality control. Beyond the no S proof, there are other exciting varieties. Double die errors are always popular among collectors, and the 1990 penny is no exception. In some examples, you can see doubling in the lettering of Liberty, In God We Trust, or even in the date. These double dies were the result of imperfections during the die creation process, and they make the coin look almost like it has a shadow or a doubled outline. The more dramatic the doubling, the more valuable the penny becomes. Off-center strikes are another category that gets collectors excited. Imagine a coin where the design isn't properly centered, leaving part of the coin blank and the other side misaligned. The more dramatic the off-center while still showing the date, the more desirable the piece becomes. Each one of these coins is unique, making them one-of-a-kind treasures for those who love minting oddities. Clipped planchets are another fascinating error. This happens when the blank discs that become pennies are cut too close together, leaving a missing piece on the edge of the coin. These errors are instantly recognizable and highly collectible. Combine this with a clean strike and a visible date, and you've got a coin worth far more than 1 cent. Repunched mint marks are yet another variety from 1990. At that time, mint marks were still applied manually, so sometimes the punch wasn't perfectly aligned, creating a doubled or shadowed mint mark. A repunched D on a 1990 penny adds a layer of rarity that collectors can't resist. What makes the 1990 penny so exciting is that it exists in so many different forms. You have the ordinary ones that lived through years of circulation, the uncirculated examples saved in rolls and sets, the proof versions from San Francisco, and then the rare error coins that set hearts racing. For collectors, it's not just about owning a penny. It's about the thrill of knowing your coin might be one of those rare few with a mistake that makes it priceless. Now, here comes the part that makes everyone lean in a little closer. Most 1990 pennies are just worth face value, and even nice uncirculated ones might only bring a few dollars. But those rare varieties, the proof coins missing the S mint mark, the dramatic double dies, and other extraordinary errors, have shocked the collector world at auctions. Some of these special pennies have sold for as much as $40,000. Yes, a penny from 1990 that most people ignored, turning out to be worth that incredible sum. And that is why coin collecting never loses its magic. Every penny has a story, every error adds mystery, and every collector knows that hidden among millions of ordinary coins, there might be one that changes everything. So next time you're sorting through your change, don't pass over the 1990 penny too quickly. Look closely, check the details, and remember that even the smallest coin can carry the biggest surprises. Number 4, we're taking a closer look at the United States 1 cent coin from 1994, the Lincoln penny that millions of us have held, spent, or maybe even tucked away without giving it a second thought. But the truth is, this little copper-plated piece of change can hold secrets, and if you've got the right one in your collection, it could be far more valuable than you imagine. The Lincoln penny has been a constant in American life since 1909, and by the time 1994 rolled around, it had already cemented its place as the most familiar coin in circulation. Abraham Lincoln's portrait still stood proudly on the obverse, a reminder of his leadership, his sacrifice, and his lasting mark on the country. On the reverse, the Lincoln Memorial design continued its decades-long run, stretching all the way from 1959 until 2008. Millions upon millions of these pennies poured out of the Philadelphia and Denver mints in 1994. But as every collector knows, sheer numbers don't tell the whole story. What really matters is condition, rarity, and those little mistakes at the mint that turn ordinary coins into treasures. Let's start with condition. Most of the 1994 pennies you'll find are worn, scratched, and have lost their shine from years of circulation. But uncirculated examples, ones that still carry their full luster and crisp details, are highly collectible. Coin collectors value preservation above almost anything else, and the difference in price between a worn penny and a pristine, untouched example can be staggering. That's why it pays to check every old roll of pennies you come across. You never know what gem might be hiding inside. Now, errors are what really set certain 1994 pennies apart. One of the most well-known types is the double die. Imagine looking at the date or the letters in God We Trust and noticing a faint shadow or doubling effect. These are not optical illusions. They're minting mistakes that happen when the die impresses the design onto the coin more than once at a slightly different angle. A strong double die on a 1994 penny makes collectors' hearts race, and the more dramatic the doubling, the higher the value climbs. Another fascinating type of error from 1994 is the off-center strike. These coins were struck by dies that weren't perfectly aligned, so the design ends up shifted on the planchet, leaving part of the coin blank. Some are only slightly off, but others can be dramatically misaligned, showing big blank arcs of copper along the edge. As long as the date is still visible, collectors love these off-center pennies, because no two are ever exactly alike. There are also clipped planchet errors from this year, where a small portion of the coin is missing from the edge due to the way the blank discs were cut. These clipped pennies immediately stand out and change, and they've become highly collectible because of their uniqueness. And don't forget repunched mint marks. In 1994, the Denver mint mark was still punched into the dies by hand, which sometimes resulted in a slightly misplaced or doubled letter. Collectors love spotting these repunched marks because they're subtle but fascinating reminders of the old minting process. What makes the 1994 penny especially interesting is that it sits at a time when minting technology was improving, but mistakes still happened. That means rare varieties and errors from this year are scarcer than earlier decades, which only increases their appeal. A high-grade 1994 penny with an error can quickly go from pocket change to a star attraction in a collection. And here's where things get really exciting: the value. While most 1994 pennies are just worth face value, the rare ones, especially those with dramatic double dies, extreme off-center strikes, or high-grade proof-like finishes, have stunned collectors at auctions. In fact, some of the most extraordinary examples of the 1994 Lincoln penny have sold for as much as $40,000. That's the thrill of coin collecting, my friends. You never know when an ordinary penny will turn out to be something truly extraordinary. The 1994 penny is a perfect example of how history, condition, and a little bit of minting luck can transform the most common coin into a rare treasure. So next time you see a 1994 penny in your change, don't ignore it. Look closely, check the details, and remember that even a single cent could hide a story worth telling. Number 5, and last rare coin. Imagine holding in your hand a small, simple Lincoln penny from the year 1993, a coin most people would barely notice as it passes through their pocket change. But what if I told you that some of these little copper-plated zinc coins can actually be worth a fortune? And the reasons behind it are fascinating enough to make every coin lover stop and listen carefully. The 1993 Lincoln penny is more than just a cent. It's a piece of American history, a symbol of everyday commerce, and in rare cases, a hidden treasure waiting to be discovered. When you look at the obverse of the coin, you'll find the familiar portrait of Abraham Lincoln, designed by Victor David Brenner, the same image that has been gracing the penny since 1909. By 1993, the penny had already been produced in the new copper-plated zinc composition that started in the 1980s, meaning it had a core of zinc with a very thin layer of copper. This change was made to reduce costs, but it also created conditions where mistakes and errors in the minting process became more noticeable, and that's where collectors start getting very excited. Now, what really sets apart the 1993 penny from an ordinary cent are the rare errors and varieties that have surfaced over time. Imagine finding a double-die penny, where Lincoln's profile or the lettering appears doubled, almost like a shadow effect on the coin. Collectors go crazy for these because not only are they visually striking, but they also represent a true minting anomaly. Then there are off-center strikes, where part of the design is missing because the coin wasn't aligned properly during minting. Some of these can show as much as half the design missing, and the stranger they look, the more valuable they become. Another error to look out for is the famous wrong planchet strike. This happens when a Lincoln cent design is accidentally struck on a planchet meant for a different coin, such as a dime. Imagine how odd it looks. A penny design but on a smaller silver-colored piece of metal. These are extremely rare, but when found, they fetch astonishing prices at auction. And let's not forget about coins struck with die cracks, cuds, or plating errors where the thin copper layer bubbles, peels, or leaves odd textures on the surface. Collectors are fascinated by these because they tell a story of the imperfection and unpredictability of the minting process. The 1993 penny also holds a special place because it sits in the years just before the big redesign of the reverse in 2009, making it part of the last long stretch of the Lincoln Memorial design. That simple image of the Lincoln Memorial on the back is often overlooked, but some coins from 1993 have striking clarity or unusual details that add collector appeal. For coin lovers, it's not just about the metal itself. It's about the uniqueness, the story, and the rarity that turns a simple 1-cent coin into something extraordinary. Think about it this way. Millions of people have handled 1993 pennies, tossing them in jars, leaving them in drawers, or spending them without a second thought. Yet only a tiny fraction of those coins hide errors so rare that they can transform them into highly prized collector's pieces. That's the thrill of coin collecting. The idea that at any moment, in your change from the grocery store or in an old piggy bank, you might stumble across one of these incredible treasures. And the best part? Some of these error 1993 pennies have sold for amounts that leave people speechless. Imagine taking a penny that was only ever meant to buy a tiny piece of candy and discovering that its true worth is not 1 cent at all, but instead $40,000 in the collector's market. So the next time you come across a 1993 Lincoln penny, don't dismiss it as just another coin. Take a closer look, check for doubling, off-center strikes, or strange textures in the copper plating. Because who knows, you might just be holding a small piece of minting history, one that could change the way you look at pocket change forever. If you love stories like this, make sure to stay tuned, because there are so many coins out there hiding incredible secrets and astonishing values. And remember, coin collecting isn't just about money. It's about history, mystery, and the excitement of the hunt.